good night, whatever time it is that you're listening to or watching this. Welcome to the Evil Popcorn Podcast. I'm the Baron, although it does have a different name on my little sheet there, which I will change in due course. And who else do I have here tonight, today, this afternoon, this morning?
Yes, hello, Baron. Happy 2025. Happy New Scare, children of the popcorn. And yeah, you know what we're talking about. You know what the first movie is. Had to be. Yes, you've seen the JPEG. You've seen the thumbnail. It had to be. And of
Night Swim.
course, yeah, the sequel. We made it.
Yeah.
And
Night
of
Swim 2.
course, we
Night
had
Harder.
to bring on the other family member of Evil Popcorn, certainly for this film. How are you,
Yes.
Dorian?
I'm good.
Yeah, yeah.
I love this movie.
Oh, straight out the gate. Forget fuck formality.
Yep.
Fair. I'm good
Thank
with
you all
that.
and good night.
Yep.
Yep,
Yep.
that's
Yes.
it.
So, yes, well, for those people that are hard of looking, we are doing the 2025, technically 2024 Nosferatu film. Not to be mistaken for the 1929 German Murnau film or the 1978.
22. Sorry.
22.
Yeah.
Oh, 22,
22 and
sorry.
79.
Yeah, and the 79 with
Yeah.
Klaus Kinski.
There was also one that came out in 23,
Yes, there's a fan
2023.
film.
It's not good. Doug Jones is Orlok in it. Like, obviously he looks
Yeah,
cool. And
like
he
he's
literally
amazing.
he just sounds like Baron Afanas from What We
Yeah,
Do in the Shadows. But
yeah.
like otherwise it's just I hate Thomas is such a piece of shit in that film. Like, oh my God, I hate Thomas so much in that movie.
I don't know if you know Mark Kermode, the British film critic. He says there's 30 plus. I forget the person
Oh,
who's a
I would not be
Nosferatu
surprised. Yeah.
expert, but there's Nos
Yeah.
Ah,
Farad
yeah.
number two,
Mm.
Nosfer TOO, and
Yeah.
then 28 other
Oh God.
variations.
The
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
the Star Wars one, which is Nosferatu D2.
And then of course we have Shadow of the Vampire, of course.
Yes.
Yeah,
Being
can't
the
forget.
meta nature of that kind of puts it
Mm.
outside
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Nosferatu verse, but I would still
Yeah.
agree. It's yeah.
It's
I mean,
canon.
it was
I
my
reckon it's
first.
Yeah.
canon. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's my first. It was my first direct interaction with
Mm.
the Count Orlok, the Nosferatu. I mean, we're not going to count things like Salem's Lot,
Mm.
where it was very much an Orlok style vampire in the original. But yeah, no, it was my first introduction. And then I went back and watched Murnau and I watched the 70s one. And then obviously
Okay,
this.
Mm.
okay. How did you begin, Dorian, your Nosferatu
Oh.
journey?
Um, I did it in chronological order. The first one that I watched was the
Okay,
1922
nice.
film. I can't remember exactly when that was, but yeah,
Hmm.
it's, it's iconic.
Oh yeah,
That
yeah,
film
yeah,
is
definitely.
iconic. Oh my
It
God.
really
Yeah, no,
is.
it's great. On the
Oh,
rewatch, it was great to see the
mm.
shadow work is
Yeah.
incredible. The shadow
Yeah.
work in
Oh,
1922
so
is like,
good.
what? That's better.
Yeah.
No one's
So
touched
good.
that, I reckon,
Mm.
for what they were able to achieve. Yeah.
Yeah.
You seen the Herzog before?
Yes.
Yeah. What do we all think of that? Because that's kind of the
Um,
outlier.
yeah.
Mm,
It's
There's definitely
campy.
stuff about it. Yeah. There's stuff about it that I really like.
same.
And like it feels a lot more like dreamy, especially like the journey to the castle. That one always gets a little bit tricky when talking about it because like he was able to use the character names from Dracula,
Yeah.
but it's still Nosferatu that he's
Yeah.
telling the story of.
Fucking
Um,
Herzog, eh? He doesn't
yeah.
give a
And then
fuck.
the ending as well is different.
Hmm. Hmm.
But the main thing for that one that like as good as I like the performance from Klaus Kinski in that, I don't like Orlok as a character being that kind of more humanized in the way that
Mm.
he is in that one. I
Hmm.
Yeah.
like that kind of trope for a vampire. I love
Hmm.
that kind of stuff, as in, this really ancient creature and, just being so detached from humanity and struggling with that and all that. Like when it's done well, it's so good and I love that. But I don't
Yep.
like Orlok as a character to be like that.
Mhm,
So,
mhm. Yeah, no, I get you. I get you.
mm,
Definitely. I enjoyed the score very much so.
yeah. Mm,
And he gave us the beach, the
yeah,
cemetery
yeah.
beach. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
And that
it's in the Manaus.
is it in the Murnau, is it?
Yeah, yeah, it's in
Yeah,
the
bugger,
Manaus
bugger,
as
bugger,
well.
bugger.
Yeah,
Okay.
with the
Okay, so
crosses
that's
and
from
everything.
Murnau.
Yeah, yeah,
Wow. It is a cool movie for
mm,
1922. Yeah,
yeah,
Really
definitely.
is.
Yeah.
And it's the first of the mockbusters because they couldn't use Dracula. They wanted to use
yeah,
Dracula, they couldn't, so they changed
yeah,
all the names. So it's like
yeah,
this is where Uwe
yeah.
Boll comes from and the asylum.
Yeah, yeah. They changed so much of it to try to like be able to circumvent the copyright, and
Yeah.
they still got. Lawrence
Mm.
Stoker was still like, no, this is a small amount of money that I'm getting. The
Yeah.
royalties from my dead husband's work for
Hmm.
Dracula. And
Hmm.
Yeah.
ultimately, it was ordered for all of the copies of that to be destroyed. But that legal proceeding took so long that by the
Mm.
time that order was put up, and it wasn't very well enforced anyway, but by
No,
that point, it had started to get distributed, to various different places of the world. So you couldn't keep track of it by that point anyway.
no.
Yeah,
So
you can't.
that's why we
Mm.
still have access to that film.
Mm.
Otherwise, it would have been lost to time.
Mm.
Yeah.
No, you can't kill it. You can't kill
Hmm.
Orlok Nosferatu. Yeah.
Now, I did have a little bit of a look into the history of horror films. Like, this has got to be one of
Hmm.
the first.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of information um, that's a lot of it's apocryphal.
Hmm.
But we're talking like there was a Frankenstein in 1910. There's some Italian stuff in the teens.
Hmm.
But this has got to be the first famous
Feature
Yeah.
with this,
feature.
yeah, of this length, of this
Hmm.
duration.
Yeah.
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 So
Yeah.
we're talking obviously the 1922, but yeah.
Hmm.
And it's good to see like them redoing it. And like I think look, as Dorian points out, this is a really good film.
Yeah.
Mm.
Robert Eggers has done some
Agreed.
spectacular
Yeah.
work to bring
Hmm.
in the history and to put his own stamp on it.
Yeah. Yeah. Because do you know about his personal history with the movie?
He did a play in high school.
So he first watched the film when he was about 9 years old. He had gotten it on VHS that was like an old, like super, like not a super great quality video of it.
Well, no, there
And
was no
so
sound.
no sound on it. And
Yeah.
also because the visual quality wasn't super great,
Mm.
you couldn't really tell that Max Schreck, who plays Orlok, was wearing all that makeup. So it looked a lot more
Yeah.
real to him. And also he's
Yeah.
9 years old. So he
Yeah.
was absolutely captivated by it. And then when he was in high school, him and a friend who has now also gone on to do directing stuff for like theater and opera and all that kind of thing. They directed Nosferatu in high school, and he
Hmm.
played Count
Hmm.
Orlok in that, and that was
Hmm.
all like in black and white and all that kind
Yeah,
of
that's
stuff.
really
Um,
cool that way. Yeah, it was
yeah,
trying to capture that on stage is dope. Yeah.
and then he while that was being performed, someone who ran a theater in the general area approached him and was basically like, "Hey, this was really well done. I really liked what you guys did for this. Do you want to do this in like a bigger scale in the theater that I
Mhm.
work at?" And so he had the opportunity to do that. And that was basically what cemented to him, I want to be a director. That's what I
Mhm.
want to do. So the
Mhm.
reason why Robert Eggers is a film director is because of Nosferatu.
Yeah, good call.
Absolutely. Yeah, and being inspired by actors as well, I'd argue, because
Mm,
he watched Last
yeah.
Temptation of Christ, where
Mm,
Defoe, if you
yeah.
don't know, plays
Yeah.
Jesus in a very controversial Scorsese
Mm,
film when he
yeah.
was 5. Yeah, so
Mm, yeah.
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 this is in his
Yeah.
blood. This is in his
Yeah.
blood.
Yeah.
But he's a history geek, is what we must
Yeah.
remember. Above a filmmaker, even, I think
Yeah.
he would admit to this. He
Yes.
loves the past more than
Mm,
anything else,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
Yeah.
all of his films are deeply
Yeah.
infused with that
Yeah.
love. Yeah.
But I
Yeah. I
mean, you can
saw
see it.
I mm,
I was gonna say you can see it come through in The Witch and The
mm,
Lighthouse and The Northman. Yeah,
yeah.
it's very much a history thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I saw in an interview where someone was asking him like, how modern are you willing to go with any of your films? And he was like, oh, like the idea of trying to
Not at
film
all.
a car, the idea of trying to film a car or a mobile phone or something like that is just abhorrent to him. So
Mm.
anything like no more recent than the 1950s, and that would be pushing it for him.
Yeah.
1950s. Yeah, okay.
Nothing
Okay.
more recent than that.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's one of the things from The Witch. Like there's such attention to detail and so much thought has been put into it.
Hmm.
Mm.
Hmm.
And and that's part of what makes these movies so fantastic to watch
Yeah, they're
because
rich and
it doesn't
immersive.
yeah, it doesn't
Yeah.
feel as though you're watching like something that has been made now and here are a bunch of actors. It feels more like this is something that these people are actually living in that time.
Mm.
Hmm.
And it's
Hmm.
just, oh, and
And to
yeah,
that
there's just
end,
so much accuracy
to
because
that,
he's like consulting with people who are historians and stuff like
mhm.
that to actually get that accurate information.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's,
absolutely.
oh,
And to dovetail on that as well, from an actor's perspective, I forget if it was Bill or Lily was saying they went into the set and you would open a drawer and there'd be love letters,
yeah,
Yeah.
photographs, and then on other sets
yeah,
as well, would
yeah,
just be filled
yeah,
with all this,
yeah. And it'd be
curios and
like,
whatnot too. Yeah, and you just feel part of that world, and then you can
yeah.
be rather than act. Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
as in like a desk that's in for the entire time of that scene. That desk is in the back of the shot and
yeah,
never gets opened, and
yeah.
yet
Yeah.
there are these handwritten love letters in
Yep.
He's
that
dressing
desk.
it to the
Like,
finest,
Yeah.
deepest
yeah,
research
There,
detail.
there was
Yeah.
stuff in their pockets. The actors were
yeah,
Mm,
saying they put their hands in their
mm.
pockets and came out with stuff that you would expect to
yeah,
be in there.
yeah.
I would
Yeah,
love
it
to be in
really
one of his
helps
films.
them.
It's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah, because it
Yeah.
helps them to sort of get into the character and feel like they are part of that world and they are that person
Yeah, of
existing
course,
in that world.
100%. It's a
Yeah.
Yeah.
gift,
Also,
as Bill said. Yeah.
yeah, for Nosferatu, while they in terms of the score, um the composer had at least like a couple of demos, and then also they had some other like ambient tracks and stuff like that that Robert would actually play while they were shooting. So
Hmm.
then the actors could
Ah,
kind of have that ambient stuff as well. Because I
Oh, I
mean,
didn't know that. Thank you.
yeah,
that's
there's
good.
a
Cool.
decent amount of stuff that's shot on soundstage. So obviously you don't
Mhm.
have like, you are literally out in the middle of nowhere and you have the ambience there. So having that kind of soundscape for them
Yeah, I
to
get you.
have
Yeah, to
playing
keep
helps
the
them as well.
immersion. Yeah, keep the
Yeah.
immersion as well. I get his
Yeah.
director's point of view of
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
his cinematographer has been the same for all of his
For,
films.
Yeah.
and
Yeah, all four
what's
of his
his name?
films.
If someone could look
Jared
that up,
yeah,
please.
Jaron Blaschke.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank
And
you. Thank you.
so they did it in The Witch, but even more so in Nosferatu, where
Yep.
stuff where it's you see a bunch of candles, that is what the
Mhm.
lighting was.
Hmm.
Yep.
Hmm.
So,
As soon as I saw from underneath that
having it,
yellow
yeah.
golden glow,
Mm.
it's like, haha.
Yeah,
Yeah,
having
yeah,
having a chat with Orlok in his castle, just lit with it was entirely just candles. They just kept on
yeah.
Yeah.
adding more and more candles until they
It's
had
cool.
enough light.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's cool. It's cool.
And then some of the shots that was at nighttime to have that really like blue cast,
Mm,
they had
mm,
filters for that basically
Yep.
hmm.
just you weren't able to get anything warmer than like a green with that
Yeah.
filter on, and
Yeah.
it
It's
looks
so
really, really
cold, but
it pulls
beautiful.
really, really
Yeah,
blue, and then
yeah.
post processing and all that. But apparently they had wanted to have a filter custom made that meant that it had that blue tone to it, but you could get a little bit of pop of red for blood.
Hmm.
Oh,
But obviously
okay.
Yep.
that's quite more complicated, and it
Yeah.
didn't arrive until the day they started shooting. So Blashke wasn't able to actually like play around with it and experiment with it. So he didn't feel confident actually using it for this film, unfortunately.
Well,
Okay.
But
future films though,
yeah,
eh?
they have
I
it now.
understand.
So
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did we like the barely color look of this film?
Yeah.
yes,
No,
Colorization of
it
this
was
film?
yes.
great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
It works
fantastic.
really well for the setting and the tone and all that.
Yep.
Hmm. Hmm.
Mm.
And with the previous films, Like
Mm,
it was almost black and white, but there
yeah.
was just that hint of natural
Hmm.
color that just popped
Mm,
through, and
yeah.
it gave you that sort of unearthly feel to it, which was
Mm,
just amazing.
yeah.
Mm. I like the sense of German romanticism to everything
Yeah.
as well, given the
Yes.
setting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yes, because
yeah,
that
Mm,
absolutely.
leads to Germanic fairy tales, which
yeah.
nicely blends in
Yeah.
with the
Yeah.
mythos of
Yeah.
Nosferatu. And
Which
it's
is
not so
what
much just one sector.
mm,
Yeah, I believe Eggers wanted to oppose that to the
mm,
Victorian modernity
Yeah.
of
yeah.
versus the past of the other
Mm,
films. Yeah,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's up to you.
Yeah. Yeah, Eggers has referred to Nosferatu as being a fairy tale version of Dracula. Because it like the
Yeah.
ending feels very fairy
Yeah.
tale.
Oh yeah.
That's a nice way to put it. That's a nice
Mm,
because he admits that's the only thing that's over the top, not William
yeah.
Dafoe's acting,
No.
but the
Oh,
fairy
he's
tale
so
framing.
good. Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
light of this film,
He's
and
so
needs a
good.
light because this
Yes.
is a very
Yes.
alchemical, occult
Mm,
based film
yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
He was
lends a
having the
lot
best
into the
time.
narrative
Yeah.
structure as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's Beauty and the Beast. It's the bride of death and death itself, etc.,
Mm,
etc. Yeah,
yeah.
no, it's a wonderfully darkly romantic. Of course, this is Nosferatu.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Comes from a Greek word, apparently, meaning disease bearing. And if you think
Mm,
about the plague
Plague.
and the rats, yeah. And I love that aspect as well with the rats. And all of them use the rats fantastic. All of the
I love the
iterations
fact that
use.
they used real rats instead of
Oh,
CG
it was like about 5,000 real rats.
mm-hmm.
In scenes where you had enough depth in the shot, like the rats that were like really far away was CG, but for the
CGI.
most
Yeah,
part it was
CGI'd.
like real rats. It smelt horrible because the rats were just shitting and
Yeah.
pissing everywhere.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. But that doesn't stop William Dafoe. That didn't stop him on
No,
the
No,
no,
lighthouse on that
no.
island, which almost killed him. No acting needed at
yeah.
times.
That's how you get the best performance from your actors.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Provided that they are on board with it and consenting to that treatment, of course.
Of course, of course, of course, as we always discuss.
Yes.
Um, were we happy with everyone in the film, acting wise? Any
Yeah.
standouts?
Oh. The two
Willem
main
Dafoe.
standouts. Yeah, Willem Dafoe, but I mean Willem Dafoe is just being Willem Dafoe, being amazing as
Yeah.
always. Like,
It's
Yeah.
just
but yeah,
check. Yeah. Oh,
so I have not seen Lily Rose Depp in anything.
oh,
Oh,
So
okay.
I was absolutely blown
Tusk.
away
No.
by her perform. Oh, that barely counts, let's be real. But yeah, so her performance in this is incredible. None of that was enhanced with CG or anything like that.
No.
She had
Yeah, which
studied a
none
certain
of it, none of
mm,
it, because I've
yeah,
heard all the sources say
no.
none of it. But she
Yeah,
motion
none of it.
blurs.
Yeah, yeah.
She
Because she
literally
had
motion
studied
blurs.
a certain style of dance. It's a Japanese style of dance. I can't remember what it's called.
May I?
But
May I jump in there for
mm,
30 seconds there? Because I've actually done this dance before.
yeah,
So this I was
yeah,
very much looking, certainly the
yeah,
second time round to do a
yeah.
performance. So it's called Buto,
Yeah, yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Butoh.
Mm,
Basically, it's derived after the Second World War, after the big bombs. Yes, the big two,
mm,
we know what
Yeah.
they are. And they're all, a lot of the time, they're all in white, they're bald, they have faces of terror, like
mm,
they're in shock, like a bomb's blasted their face
mm,
and their bodies. Get it? Yeah. But that's you can go horror wise or you can go
mm,
very much almost angelic, heavenly wise with
mm,
Buto. Of course, this leans to the darker end of things. I thought it was really good. It's accentuated on film, even just being captured on film when you've
mm,
got that colorization and lighting
yeah.
into context,
Mm,
etc. And I see why everyone's blown away by it. Don't mean to sound like a dick. I've seen better Buto, but it's
yeah.
really cool to see
Mm,
Buto in film, and she did it well because
yeah.
I'm pretty sure she hadn't done it before. And when you're doing it as this character as well and
Mm,
keeping it
yeah.
somehow
Yeah.
sensical, that's a feat. Yeah,
Yeah.
that I will
Yeah.
give
Because
everyone involved.
it's
Yeah,
yeah,
back
it's
to you.
not as though she's like actually performing the dance.
No, no, no,
You
no.
know,
But no, no.
it's more like learning those
She's
movements and those
incorporating
techniques.
elements that
Yeah.
work with her
Mm,
character in the scene,
yeah.
etc.,
Yeah.
etc.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
But
yeah.
then the other absolute fucking standout is Bill
Yeah.
Skarsgård.
Of
Oh
Holy
yes.
course. Yeah,
shit.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh
Nothing
my
bad to
God. Like
say here. No,
like it
at all.
I'm so glad that they kept so much of Orlok a mystery in the
Yeah.
promotional
Yeah.
material for it.
Yep.
Um, and like they talked about on the Dead Meat podcast about it, and I completely agree in that like it, multiple reasons for it was a good choice. One of them being like, yes, it worked, first time you see it is during that reveal in the film, but then
Mm.
also it's pretty divisive. A lot of people
Yeah,
have
yeah,
some
yeah,
pretty
yeah.
strong opinions about it, but I'm
Uh,
like,
Mm.
do you
No.
want to see the same shit time after time after time? No, we have something different. And there's a reason why he looks the way that it does, is
yep.
because Eggers wanted to go back to folklore,
Hmm.
Romanian folklore, and
Hmm.
vampires are dead, like they're reanimated corpses. That's what
Yeah.
they
Hmm.
are.
Hmm.
Yep.
And
Hmm.
so,
Hmm.
so obviously that's what he's going to look like. And then
Hmm.
motivated by, okay, well, if he was this kind of person in this time period and now he's been dead for that long, what's he going to look like? And that's why he
Hmm.
looks the way that he does. But
That's why
they've,
there's the
through,
mustache. Yeah, that's
yeah,
why there's
exactly.
the
And the
road, the
hair.
fur
Yeah.
draping off him. He's a
Yeah.
Transylvanian
Yeah.
nobleman. Just happens to
Yeah.
be an
But then
undead one.
also,
But
yeah,
you'll note that he
they've
still had the
shaped his
same silhouette.
ears.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So obviously,
He's,
because of the haircut,
mm,
there's not much hair on his head, so it does have that bald look to it. The big
hmm.
coat that he has makes him have that sort of rounded,
Yeah,
hunched over kind of
Yep.
look.
yeah.
The
And then
silhouette.
also the way his ears are rotted away, it gives the illusion of them being pointed as well.
Yep.
Mm,
And then also
mm,
like the shape of his nose, because the
mm,
cartilage in his nose is starting to decay and fall away, that is creating a little bit of a
Hmm.
similar
hmm.
shaped
Yeah, yeah,
nose
yeah,
as
yeah.
well. And he still has those long, spindly fingers.
As homage to the original,
Hmm.
I reckon.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
as straight up homage to the original.
Yeah.
And
And
they
then
look great.
that
That's
and
Nosferatu.
that
Yeah.
the voice.
Ah, get
Yeah.
out of fucking
Once
town.
once again, that is the only time when they
Mm.
did actually pitch adjust that tone, that voice
Yeah.
was when two moments when he was shouting,
Mm.
because when
Okay.
you shout, he wasn't able to bring his voice just as deep as he needed to. Because if you think about it, the way that you project your voice when you're shouting and where that sound is coming from, that's isn't quite as deep. And so they did have to lower that a
Hmm.
little bit.
Hmm. I
But
understand
otherwise,
that. Yes. Yeah.
it's entirely Bill. He trained with a an opera singer to be able to get his voice down an octave, and he
Hmm.
Yeah.
always like the way he sort of visualized where his voice is coming from is essentially down like in his crotch, basically
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
low.
it'd have to be.
That's where
It'd
it's coming
have to
from.
be. Yeah.
Yeah,
He
and
said that
then they
he said that it was like Mongolian throat singing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, he
Sure.
did study that
Sure.
as well because he needed it to come out as naturally as possible because otherwise it's just going to strain your throat and just ruin your vocal cords.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Um
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
yeah, and then
Uh-huh.
they mixed in some really like organic sounds as like so like you can hear a little bit of like a reverbing kind of sound to his
Hmm.
voice.
Hmm.
So what they did for that is to sort of adding like the sounds of like animal growls and like granite scraping and wind and all that kind of stuff, especially like to make that castle like move along
Hmm.
with him and just he
Yeah, that
just
was cool. That was
Yeah.
cool.
takes
Yeah.
up so much. Like you have this big, massive cavernous hall, empty hall, and he's there in that space, and he somehow manages to take up the entire room with his
Yeah.
pre
Yeah.
like his visual presence and then also
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
voice. It's just
Yeah.
absolutely
And
phenomenal.
the right framing and stuff, but it's very much
Yeah.
mostly
Yeah.
intact. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
so good.
And the castles, of course, children are on
Mm.
location because this is an
Yes.
Eggers
Yeah.
specific, and these are
Yep.
ruined, gross,
Yep.
dusty,
Yeah.
old,
Yeah.
cavernous,
The
rat-ridden
yeah.
castles. Yeah.
Yeah. The exterior was a castle in the Czech Republic. And then
Hunadora.
for some, yeah, for some of they wanted to be able to film like interiors like
Mm.
in castles, but all the castles are obviously all done up too nice and pretty for all the
Yeah.
tourists. So all the interiors were done on a soundstage, but the main like when Thomas comes in through those
Mhm.
gates and into that foyer
The
area, that
first
courtyard
entrance.
area
Yeah.
there.
Hmm.
That was in Prague. It was the same
That's right.
castle
Yeah.
that is in the Herzog film. Um,
Bernstein.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Eggers
Cool.
did not want it to be that castle because no, that's what Herzog did. I don't want to do that one. So looking around, scouting, trying to find somewhere else that works, and they couldn't find anything else. And then it's just like, oh, but we don't want to do it again. And then he went and had a look back at the footage of the castle that is in the Herzog
Mm.
one, and he realized the stuff that I would want to film, you can't see that in the Herzog one, so I
Yeah, it's
can
not the
use
same
it.
spot.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they added some like extra, like an extra archway and some extra like little
Okay.
embellishments, like Orlok's family crest and all that kind of stuff to the entryway. But otherwise, yeah, so that's what that was. It was just I've been
Yeah, it's
watching so many
gorgeous.
interviews about this because
It's yeah, no, no.
the amount of detail, attention to detail for all of this, and it's just
Can we
I need to know everything.
before we go deeper into production design, because he is very much a production
Mm,
designer. That's one of the main
yeah.
directing skills he brings to the table. Just want to stay on Bill for a while because I've fallen in love with the man, absolutely, with
Yes.
Skarsgård. Yes.
Oh, yes.
Because I love my creature actors,
Mm,
those who take on the monstrous roles. And he's making a goddamn name for himself. This has
Yeah.
kind of
yeah.
cemented him. Yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
I just generally, we all agree that Bill
Yeah.
is fantastic.
Yes.
Oh,
And
look, I loved
Yes.
it.
just,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
Like props to
Pennywise
Tim
Yes.
Curry
is,
for giving us the 90s version,
Mm,
but the Skarsgård version, quantum leap ahead of what Tim
yeah.
Curry gave us.
Yeah.
Sorry,
well,
Tim.
you'll be glad to know that he's coming back for Welcome to Derry then.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
they're children if you didn't know. And he said, yeah, no, it's TV nowadays. It's hardcore. Yeah.
Mm,
We go there
yeah.
and it's like, yes, I cannot
Yeah.
wait for
Yeah.
that. But back
Yeah.
to Bill on Nosferatu. 3 hours for the face and
Face
hand
and
work,
hands. Yeah.
ears, into that as well. And full body, 6 hours. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
9 hours.
Mm,
Now, on the internet, there's been a bit of talk whether or not, this is freaking him out. He's tired of it. From what
oh.
I saw, this is
Mm,
just a curious gift he's been given, and he's just working it out as he goes along because Bill's kind of
yeah.
also very thoughtful. He doesn't
Mm,
give
mm,
too much
yeah.
away or tell you exactly what he's thinking either. Yeah. And I like that about him. So I'm very
Yeah.
interested to see where he goes next. And it
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pennywise, but what the next monster
Yeah.
will be. Yeah.
I've loved him since Hemlock Grove.
Oh,
Ah,
Hemlock
yeah.
Grove. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And yeah, so my favorite version of Bill Skarsgård is when he's being a little freak, a little weirdo,
Yeah.
Preferably covered in blood. So
Sure.
that's my favorite version of Bill
We condone
Skarsgård.
that here on Evil Popcorn.
Yeah.
But please continue. We are in the castle. I don't want to digress too much there.
So, well, just a couple of little technical things.
Please,
As
Barry.
of Tuesday, it's broken the $100 million mark in the box
Yeah,
office, which is great.
which is really cool.
It's got some really good reviews. It's got 7.7 on IMDb. It's
Okay.
85% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's got
Okay.
3.9 stars out of 5 on Letterboxd. So
Mm,
this is going really well.
yeah.
It's great for vampire movies. It's great
Yes.
stuff for horror. Fuck the January curse for horror. Certainly
Yeah.
in Australia,
Yeah.
this has broken it in Australia anyway. But it's also for movies with some depth as well.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah.
If that's an all right term to use for a movie like this, and
Yeah.
not to be derogatory towards because this is okay. Dorian, I asked you this specifically, Baron, as well. What did we think of the meeting of a cinephile vampire and a genre vampire, a genre film and more of a Criterion Collection piece? Yeah, because this film is this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, would everyone agree with that? Do we
Yeah.
think that
100%.
worked overall? Because that's my only, I don't know if critique is the right word, but the only thing I'm pondering on that's hindering it from just 4+5, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah. Yeah? That's my question.
I mean, it absolutely works for me. I mean, like
Yeah.
I'm obviously very much into vampires and like all the different iterations of them, and the fact that this was given a lot more depth and thought put into it and taking it back to that
Mm,
folklore and all that, and so that
mhm.
made it a little bit more fresh, something new.
Yeah.
But still like the overall themes of the film, like, in relation to like repressed desires and this, that, and the
Yeah,
other,
yeah,
that is
yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
quintessential like romantic gothic
Mhm.
vampire stuff as well. So,
It's very
um,
Eggers as well. If we look at
yeah.
the Witch
Yeah.
at the end of the
Mm.
Witch as well,
Yeah.
and with this as
Yeah.
well, you know what I mean? This is
Yeah.
I mean,
something that he's pondering in his subconscious that he hasn't
Mm.
fully realized. And
Yeah.
I like that though.
Yeah.
That's
gives
what I
us
like in
Yeah.
films like
it
this,
gives
Baron.
us the
Mm.
bestial vampire as well, rather than the
Yes.
Eurotrash fashion
Yeah.
victim.
Yeah.
Like the
Yeah.
strain played to like very much
Mm.
this is not your romantic, this is not your,
Yeah.
guy in an opera cloak who will
Yeah.
romance you. No, this is the guy that's going to eat your face off.
Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, I'm
Suck your
I'm down.
chest
I'm down with
dry.
that.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, let's go.
It's great. Like one of my favorite vampire stories is The Strain by Del
Mm.
Toro. Like
Yeah.
the books, the comics, the TV show, all told slightly
Yeah.
different versions of the story, and was the truly bestial, horrific
Mm.
Mhm.
creature
Okay.
vampires, and
Yeah.
they were
Yeah.
great.
And that's what Orlok brings to the table more so
Mm.
than our man
Yeah.
Dracula. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. I'm glad this has happened. Yes.
Mm.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you, Robert.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sir Eggers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Definitely. Your vampires are
Uh,
back and it's great. Yeah.
yes.
You know, we
Do
had
they ever leave?
Abigail. Oh, well, depends how you feel about Twilight, isn't it? But that's
Yeah. Yeah.
that's it. That's a whole podcast that I don't want to be on.
Yeah, good point. Good point. We've
But
kind of
Baron,
nicely covered. We've kind of nicely
mm,
covered the cast.
Mm.
Nicholas Hoult is very
Mm.
good.
Yeah.
Obviously with
yeah, he
Middleton Turner as
is. His
Renfield.
Mm.
Hutter is good. The
Yeah,
second
Renfield.
time
Yeah.
round, I liked him much more.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bill Skarsgård we covered. Aaron Taylor Johnson as Friedrich. He's
Uh,
probably the only one that was a bit something nothing, but the
Mm.
character is kind of something nothing.
Yeah.
he is the whole,
Yeah.
you know, stubborn,
Yeah,
you
you
know,
do need that kind of straight man
science above
sort of
all,
thing.
you know,
Yeah.
he
Yeah. You do need the skeptic.
rationality, you know, the skeptic.
What do you
Thank you. Thank you.
Mm.
you
Yeah.
think it's our audience substitute? Because he's the one that's being explained to all the time.
Yeah. Well, I've seen everyone hate his guts for how much of it, like, people talking about him.
I didn't
Everyone
like
hates him.
I didn't like
Yeah.
him.
Everyone hates him because, like,
You're
why
not
aren't you
meant to
listening to
like
what
him.
they're saying? And I'm like,
Yeah.
well, if you think about it from his perspective, everything that everyone is saying is absolutely insane. He has no reason to believe them right now.
No, yeah,
No.
yeah,
No.
yeah. But Robert, the film wants you to side with
Yeah. Ellen.
Ellen, thank you.
And all, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm.
Yeah.
And also Friedrich there as well. That's Murnell. Yeah.
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 Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah. And
Yeah.
what
Greta.
what's
That's
the
the name of
cat,
the cat.
Dorian? What's the cat
Greta was the
again?
name of the
Greta.
cat, yeah.
Greta is the name of the cat.
And the was the name of the actor who played Ellen?
The actress who plays Ellen,
Yes,
her
thank you.
first
That's it.
name is Greta.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. That's it. I like those little touches.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
the flowers by Von Franz, the lilacs being
The
bought back at
lilacs,
the
yeah.
end. Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Oh God, that last shot is so beautiful. I want to
Yeah.
get like a
Spoilers.
massive print.
Go ahead.
I'm not giving spoilers of it.
Oh no, hang on. We'll
Yeah, I
just
just want to get a massive print of that and framed and like
Mm.
hang that up somewhere. It's so
It's
beautiful.
one of my favorite cinematic images.
yeah,
Right.
children,
Yeah, it was
children, if you haven't seen the movie
delicious.
yet, we are going to spoil the
From here,
ever-loving
let's go from
fornicate out
here.
of this.
Yes. Yeah.
Go and see it, and then come back to
We've
us.
talked generally very nicely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Up until this time. But yeah,
we're
God
going to
damn.
get into the story.
We good,
Mm.
Baron?
What's
Yeah,
that?
the last shot. Yeah, the last
Oh
shot.
yeah, no.
Yeah.
Look, genius on film.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
Like the
What do we
power
think?
had gone out of the vampire, and like now it was just the corpse, and
Yeah.
just,
Uh,
Oh,
mm,
uh,
beautifully done.
beautiful.
but what do we
Mm.
think of his feeding? He's fed her once or twice up until before the last time. But
Well,
what
that
is
was the
the
third
way
time.
the third time? Thank you. Yes. Yeah. What do we think of the way this Orlok fed?
I love it
It's
Yeah,
great,
because
isn't it?
most of
it makes
it's
sense.
so, yeah, like, and just it's again, it's animalistic.
Mhm.
It's nothing like, it isn't like cute and coy and seductive or whatever. It's animalistic. This is this creature
Yeah.
that is feasting on your blood. And
Mm,
the sound design for it is something that
yeah.
typically you don't hear so viscerally in vampire movies.
Mhm.
Yeah.
At
Or
most,
the
usually you
Of the
might,
volume of
swallowing.
blood, the
yeah,
volume of
yeah,
blood you can
yeah.
hear. Yeah,
Usually you
yeah,
would hear like maybe a little bit of Foley
Slurping.
for the sound of the teeth
Yeah.
breaking
yeah.
through the skin, and that's
Yeah.
it.
Bit
For
of
this,
splish
you are
splash, maybe.
hearing slurping and
Mm,
gulping and swallowing, and
yeah.
Buckets.
not just a little bit, it's a lot.
Yeah.
And I am so here for it.
And
Oh,
it's
I
the
love it.
chest cavity, yeah,
On the
just above
chest,
the
yeah.
heart, yeah, yeah.
Mm,
And he's on the ground, he's gyrating like an
yeah.
animal because it's not
Yes.
sexual, it's just the way he feasts,
Yeah.
but it's somehow
Yeah,
sexy.
exactly. Yeah. I mean that
It's
that
also
probably,
somehow
yeah,
sexy.
exactly. He's probably doing that because that helps him get more blood
Yep.
out.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah,
Yep.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, the film's sexy though, yeah,
Oh, yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yes.
because this film is very, very much accused of being
Yes.
horny.
Yes.
But to that end, because this very much focuses on Alan more than any other
Mm,
movie, yeah,
yeah.
which is a great
Yeah.
thing about this movie. How
Yeah.
did we feel
Yeah.
about all that? I thought it was
I
great by the end. It could have been a
mm,
little hornier
yeah. Yeah.
to have that between the maiden and death itself, that
Yeah.
pull,
Yeah.
yes, to
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
that more magnetic.
Mm,
Otherwise, all good. You
yeah.
guys?
Yeah. Like, yeah, because in the original film, it's just kind of, you're following Thomas for so much of the movie, and
Yeah,
then
you
like
are.
towards the end, it's like, oh, also now it's about Ellen. And you're like,
Yeah.
what? I wasn't aware that she was an actual character, like a proper character, up
Yeah.
until this point. So making it about Ellen and her personal connection with Orlok, which also it strengthens that her having a connection with him in the first place. He doesn't really
Yeah.
have much of one in the original. He was just
No.
like, oh, she's pretty. I'm gonna go and oh, there she is across the window. I'm gonna,
Yeah,
that's about
yeah,
it.
yeah,
But him
yeah.
having an
Well,
actual
because
personal,
patriarchy.
long last, yeah, exactly. Having an actual connection with her makes it better, and then it means that her sacrifice in the end is so much more emotionally impactful
Yep.
Mhm,
because she is the
mhm,
main character and you spent so much time with
mhm.
her and like you've come to really care for her.
Okay.
And so what happens
Yeah.
in the end has that emotional impact that it wouldn't have otherwise had.
How much of an emotional impact did it have on you? Are we talking welling up in the
Yes,
eyes? Yeah.
every time. I've seen
Okay,
it three
really?
times,
Okay,
every
that's
single time.
interesting. Okay, I can't say the same at all, but the fact that you do is fascinating.
Yes.
Baron?
Because it's just so beautiful.
Oh
And
yeah, no, 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 no.
I'm a
I'm
sucker for like everything that is like gothic and within that
yeah,
time
yeah, yeah,
period
yeah.
and
No, that's
vibe
great.
and everything. And so
Okay.
I'm a sucker for
Yeah, good,
it.
good,
Well,
good,
I got
good.
to the
Baron?
point with that scene where she was the only character I wanted to survive.
Mm,
Everyone else
Yeah,
was a dumbass.
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I feel that. I feel that as
Even
well.
And
Willem
then she,
Dafoe.
well, okay, no, her and Willem Dafoe go off and solve crimes in a small English
Yeah,
town.
yeah. And have a
Yeah,
million
yeah,
cats.
Yeah,
yeah.
He totally
I
stole that cat.
he
Oh, of
did.
He
course. Of
stole
100%.
course,
that
he
cat.
had to.
Yeah,
Bring the flowers, take the cat.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
fade
Yeah, that's
exactly.
how
He
away
you
was
do
just
it.
into the
playing
sunset.
he was just playing the
The
long
sunrise,
game.
sorry.
Yeah.
I liked their little scheming. It really
Mm,
showed the connection between Von Franz and Alan.
yeah,
Yeah, up
Hmm.
until
Yep.
that last point where he's go off in there, yes, and
yeah,
stab Eggnog. I know not his name, but that's what I was calling him by the end. And so yeah, no, and I yeah, just really liked their connection
mm,
building up to that. So it made the end make sense for me
mm,
Yep.
as well. Yeah, so all
yeah,
the elements came together. And so I was just wholly impressed being able to pull it off. Yeah. As I say, the only critiques is that the jump scares caused a bit of a
Mm.
schism, a bit of a break of the rhythm when we're
Mm.
trying to marry the old with the new. Yes, that's the
Mm.
Yeah.
only critique that I have. It just took me out of the film once or twice.
Yeah.
But hey, who am I? You made Nosferatu a
Yeah.
100 years later, plus
Yeah.
years later, and
Yeah.
made an incredible remake. I don't even like calling it a remake. No,
Yeah.
you just made your own beautiful version of the story, which you've
Mm.
wanted to since you were 9 years old. And it
Yeah.
took 10 years to put this together. Script
Yeah.
Yeah.
pretty much stayed the same. Digital drawing, Robert gave
Mm.
Bill 2 years
Yeah.
prior to shooting, pretty much stayed the same. This was
Yeah.
cemented. He was ready to go. Really glad
Yeah.
it happened. Yeah,
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
The
It
glad.
only
was
thing that took
mostly, mm,
the
yeah,
only thing that
like,
took me out of the film was, and it's super technical for geography, is then there is absolutely no sense in traveling from
mm,
Transylvania to Germany
yeah.
via sea. I
Yeah.
know we need to have the Demeter in there and we need to have the
Yeah.
sea journey, but
Okay.
Transylvania's
Yeah.
landlocked.
Yeah.
Uh, there's no
Yeah. I
sea
mean,
there.
yeah.
Shh.
I mean, admittedly, like, so, yeah. Because obviously, like, it makes sense in the original Dracula because he's going to England and not to Germany.
Yeah.
So you do have to have at least some level of sea travel for that.
Yep.
But, like, Murnau decided to change it to Germany
Yep.
because to try to avoid that copyright stuff. And then, yeah, so now
Yep.
it's like, okay, but you're going to Germany. Are you taking, like, the long way around? Like, what are you doing? So, I mean, that isn't to be fair on Eggers, it isn't like his story
Oh no.
choice.
No, no, no. Like
But
it took me out
yeah.
of the original
Yeah.
as well.
Mm.
Yeah, okay, okay, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Funny. Um, so Baron, what do you reckon? Where do you think we're up to? Have we covered everything, guys, do you think?
Um,
That everyone wants to cover?
I
I'll just
think
have a look at any
the
notes that I've got or any
other
behind the
thing that I
scenes stuff.
wouldn't mind covering, I did a bit of a deep dive into the reviews for this.
Mm.
Hmm.
And I'm gonna single out America. Sorry if there's any American listeners. But I think there's a lot of people found it difficult to understand or stay
Okay, sure.
focused
Okay,
on
sure.
this movie.
Yeah.
Um, so look, the 5-star review that I liked, I'll put at the end, but there's
Mm.
a couple of 1-star reviews that probably
Okay, okay.
indicate the audience. Very dated movie, has a slow pace and a silly plot, not worth the time, couldn't understand the vampire. Um, Not for me at all. It was sexually weird at the beginning, so we left. Uh,
What?
Horrible parallel to Bram Stoker's Dracula. Very disappointing. I wanted to like it. My family hated it. This movie sucks. It made me so mad. I didn't know what was
In
happening
depth?
most of the time. And then ja ja ja, which is laughing in Spanish.
Yeah.
And if you want to experience claustrophobia followed by depression with a finale of disgust, then this film is the one for you. Now,
That
I
sounds
would count
awesome to
that as a
me.
5-star.
Yeah.
That was a 1-star.
It's
So the
kind of
five
Yeah.
star
it.
that I will read out is this was a movie for people who loved and understood the original silent film. The locations, the costumes, and the casting were all excellent. I found Count Orlok to be the most disturbing vampire ever. Nothing sexy or romantic about him. Your mileage will
I don't know.
vary.
I
Uh,
thought he was pretty sexy.
Depends on your perspective there. I get
yeah,
it. Yeah.
which is
Uh,
exactly how he should have been portrayed. He was the rotting corpse of an antique Romanian nobleman. I felt all the acting was superb and especially enjoyed Defoe. Not a movie for modern audiences who need constant excitement and explosions to maintain interest. It is a slow-moving, stately, and dreamlike in many parts. I was completely repelled and completely satisfied by the film. A challenging experience and one I'm glad I had. And that
mm,
mirrors what I got from it
yeah.
as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty
Yeah.
much. Yeah,
Because
nicely put.
yeah, the film is a version of Nosferatu that is in within that kind of gothic horror kind of style by Robert Eggers.
Yeah,
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah,
That sums it up as
yeah.
to the
Hmm.
tone and so if all of that sounds awesome and that's something that you're into, then you will like the movie. If
Yeah.
none of that is something that you're interested in or not familiar with, you're probably going to fucking hate it. Like a lot of
Yep.
people, by the looks of it, are going to see this movie because of various different ways that it's kind of hyped up online. So they're
Mhm.
going to see it, not knowing anything about the source material, not knowing anything about Robert Eggers' style, not knowing
Yep.
anything about the gothic horror genre and its tropes and themes and general tone, and then not liking it and saying that it's not a good movie. And it's like, well, it's just not for you then. That doesn't
Mm.
mean that it's not a good movie.
And also the whole language thing. I mean, just sit with
Mm,
it a bit. It comes to
yeah,
you very quickly.
yeah,
Yes. I
Yeah.
mean, when you read books like Clockwork Orange, yes, it takes a
yeah,
few good
exactly.
30 pages to get used
Yeah,
to that
yeah.
goddamn
But you managed
way
to
of
figure it out.
speaking. Yes.
Yeah,
You manage to, you just sit with it. Yes. And
yeah,
because that's what this, you need to sit with this movie
mm,
because it wants
yeah,
to wrap you in a
yeah.
big black shadow in velvet wings. And if you allow
Yes.
yourself to do
Ah.
that, by the end, and some of the what was it, 1.66? This is done in classic
Mm,
widescreen, yes, because he wanted it to kind of be a little bit merchandise meets Hammer horror, and
Yep.
the way
yeah,
it was framed, if you will,
yeah,
and some of those wide frame shots of
mm,
Lily Depp, yes, when she's wearing
mm,
that black hat and
yeah,
whatnot.
Yep.
If you just allow
yeah,
yourself to enjoy that and realize the
yeah,
work that's gone into
mm,
that, it's
Mm.
just like if
yeah,
you go to a gallery as well and you just realize the work and the history that's gone in that and you just look at it.
yeah,
In
yeah,
part, it's the same as you get that, and then you get the storyline and the characters. That's
mm,
the beauty of Vegas. Watch his other films and then
yeah,
come
Yep.
back to this one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
yeah,
it's really worth giving this some time. It took me two watches. Yeah. And
yeah,
Yeah.
some reading and some listening,
yeah,
etc. But it's
yeah,
worth it. Yeah. It is
yeah,
worth it. Yeah, I'm really
yeah.
glad that I did. Is
Mm.
this his best one? Dorian.
Um, so this one is just really is perfectly made for me in terms of it being like
I'm
about
so
like a
glad. I'm
vampire
so
thing
glad.
and it's
I'm so glad
gothic
it
and
was everything you wanted. Yeah.
Nosferatu and yeah, it was literally exactly what I
Good.
expected it to
Good.
be, and
Good.
so I loved it. So it's just really has so many aspects about it that I'm really into. So it is my favorite, but I outside of those elements of that the vampire thing, the gothic horror thing, outside of that, take that away, The Lighthouse is his best one.
Ooh,
Ooh.
okay.
The Witch
Um,
is also really, really good.
that's mine. That's
The
mine. The
Northman
Witch is
Yeah.
mine.
is
It's still my
yeah,
number one. Yeah.
yeah. The
Yeah.
Northman is still really good. It's just not really a genre that I typically gravitate towards,
Yeah.
so it isn't really for
Yeah.
me
Mhm.
as a genre, the type of film that it is, but it is still really good. It's just yeah.
Yeah. And it was just kind of Hamlet. I'm not meaning
Mm.
that to belittle
Yeah,
it.
I
It's a
mean,
great story.
to
Yeah.
be fair, the story of Amleth is like the
Yeah.
origin
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
Hamlet.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. True.
there
True.
is
True. True.
that.
That I'd
It
seen
wasn't
it
him
before.
being derivative of Hamlet.
No, but I'd seen that leaning, that yearning
Mm.
before. That's a big word
Yeah.
to throw out, but I
Yeah.
like the yearning of the witch and
Mm.
Nosferatu better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to
Yeah.
stick with that. I'm going to stick with
Yeah.
that. And the one that pulls to me more is still the witch. It was
Mm.
more of an alluring darkness, but this is goddamn close. This is
Yeah.
goddamn close.
Yeah.
Yeah, Baron, what say you?
I put The Witch and Nosferatu pretty much on an
Yeah,
Mm.
okay,
even field.
okay.
Um, I think this is a more technically proficient
Mm.
film too.
Yeah. Yeah, because
Yeah,
he wanted
yeah.
to be like the film that he made after he made The Witch.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Thank you. It was straight
So
meant to
it
be
would be
straight
his
after.
second, yeah, it
Yeah.
would be his second ever film
Yeah.
and like feature film. And he's like, I'm not ready. I don't have like the experience that I
Yeah.
feel that I would need to be able to make what I want to make of it.
Yeah.
So he has said that he is glad that it did take as long as it did and that he was able to do other stuff in the
So am
meantime.
I.
So then he
So am
could
Yeah.
I.
like develop
Yep.
those skills
Because
further.
we
This is a
could have
better film
had
because of it.
Mm.
Bill as Thomas Hutter and not the
Yeah, yeah,
Warlock. Bill
yeah,
needed time as
yeah.
well to build up
Mm.
to this
Mm.
as
Yeah,
well.
yeah,
Yeah.
Look, he might have done a good job.
yeah,
Oh, I'm sure he would have.
yeah.
But
He would
still, we
have.
wouldn't have
Yeah,
had this Warlock. We
mm.
wouldn't
Yeah,
have had
yeah,
that thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Did
Um,
you see here? Robert Eggers said that he tried to like do like dip his toes into maybe like doing Frankenstein. Tried it out for a little bit, and he's like, "Nah, nah, I
Del
can't do
Toro,
it.
it's yours.
I'm not even gonna
Yeah.
try.
Del
I know that
Toro,
I
it's
wouldn't be able to
yours.
do it. Del
Yeah.
Toro, you do you. I know that you'll fucking nail it. I'm not even gonna try."
Yeah.
No, it's good. I like that. I like that. And the fact that we
Yeah,
have all these people working, in concert with each other. Now they'll be better at that. Let them do that. So we
yeah,
get
yeah,
more stuff. We get everything
yeah, yeah.
that way. Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
do we want to go through the plot?
I think we
Or do
kind of
people
have.
think they do you think the people think
Um,
that they know who Orlok is? Those are all words.
yeah,
Do we think the people that are listening know the story? Do we need to
Yeah.
go through the story with it?
yeah.
Was there anything that you
Um,
thought stuck out, Dorian or Mr. Popcorn,
Mhm.
that wasn't in previous versions?
Yeah,
um,
Alan doing a
yeah.
come
Yeah,
to me
yeah, the
business. Yeah.
main difference is Ellen's story,
Hmm.
Yeah,
which
It really
again like
is.
makes it sort of like tie in a lot more with Orlok and gives him a reason to even want to purchase property in Germany.
yeah.
Because
Hmm.
why was he wanting to come to Germany otherwise?
To retire, he said, because he's not well.
He's got one foot
People
in the grave.
people
Yeah,
are
yeah,
having problems with the restricted narrative of this as
Mm,
well. They're saying, "Oh, we don't
yeah.
understand her motivation at the start. What was that? Why would he
Right.
come anyway, etc.,
well,
That's
she's got The
that's something
Shining.
that, yeah, yeah, that's something that another instance of people just not having the patience in that
etc."
Yeah,
if
I
something
agree.
isn't immediately explained in the moment, then they're like, "Oh, well, why is that?" Like, as in, I saw a tweet that was someone saying that they were in the cinema doing like watching a re-release of The Thing. And you know how The Thing starts with, like them the dog's
Hmm.
running along, they're shooting at the
Hmm.
dog, all
yeah.
that. There's this wo
Absolutely.
someone saying, "Yeah, I overheard this woman saying like, what's going on? Why are they shooting at that dog? What's happening?" And it's like,
Yeah.
let the
Yeah.
story unfold.
Yeah.
You
It's
will
Yeah.
yeah.
find out. Like, yeah, and then things that aren't explicitly spelled out to the audience, and then as a result, they are not willing to engage with the film
Again,
Yeah.
yes,
and
just
figure it out
engage.
for themselves. They need
Engage.
everything spoon fed to them. Otherwise, if it isn't spoon fed to them, then, oh, well, that's lazy writing. That's a plot hole. It's like, well, maybe the intent was that you could figure it out for yourself because we don't think that you're a fucking moron.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. And also, if you think this film looks bad, because I don't think anyone could argue that the cinematography of this film
Mm.
is also a
Oh,
goddamn
beautiful.
star.
Mm.
It's
Yeah.
Yeah.
incredible. Yeah, and I don't think that's come up. Has anyone seen this is an
No.
ugly film, a poorly
No,
shot
No.
film?
no,
Yeah,
No.
no.
yeah, good, good. And that's why I think it's one of the big reasons it's doing as well as it is across a
Mm.
general audience, I
Yeah.
Mm.
think, as well. Again, the Criterion piece meets the
Mm.
genre film.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's a feat. It
Mm.
is really a
Yeah.
goddamn feat.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
When it comes to physical media, it's
Mhm.
getting an extended cut.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
So you'll
right.
have like the theatrical release and then also an extended cut, and I'm so
Yeah. The
excited
Blu-ray
for
will
that.
have it.
And on that with the
Mm,
Blu-ray there as well, that's where you see behind me there, children. If you're watching, subscribe on YouTube. If you're not at Evil Popcorn Pod, this wonderful dark shadow
yeah.
immersed Count Orlok there, where he
Mm,
slowly turns.
mm,
That's on the
yeah.
Blu-ray, not in the actual
Yeah.
film. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
It
Yeah.
was in the
I
trailer too,
love,
wasn't it?
yeah, yeah, it was in the trailer, but
yes,
not
it
in the
was.
theatrical release. Yeah. I
Yeah,
love
yeah,
how long it took for them to actually reveal Orlok. So you see him
yeah.
like in the distance and in silhouette and in the shadow and like
Oh my God.
out of frame and all that.
And
And it just took so
oh,
long for the reveal. I
and
saw
this.
a
The jaws
review of
effect.
someone saying, "Oh, yeah, it looked like shit. It was so dark, I couldn't see anything. I walked
Oh
out
God
during the
damn.
bit when, because I couldn't even see what Orlok looked like. So I walked out during that. And I asked the cinema, person working there, saying that it was too dark. And they're like, yeah, it's supposed to look like that. It's like,
Yeah.
you couldn't even see anything. I'm like, yeah, you weren't supposed to be able to fucking see him properly in that moment. obviously, just from the
Yeah.
overall like people don't know how to watch actual movies.
I know it's
They just
worrying, isn't
watch
it?
the stuff that
Yeah.
is just churned out to make as much as consumable as possible, to make as much money as possible.
Mhm,
They just watch that, and
mhm.
that's all that they're used to. So anything that is slightly different to that, they get confused and afraid and they don't know how to handle it.
Yeah,
Afraid.
kowtowing to the lowest common denominator.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
it's so
TikTok.
annoying.
Um, I agree. I agree. But speaking of the cinematography being
Mm.
beautiful, when the stagecoach appears, that
Yes.
has
Oh my
never
God.
been captured like
Oh,
that in any of the other
Yeah.
so
iterations.
pretty.
Yeah, that's
Oh
maybe my
God.
favorite shot when we have, yes,
Yeah.
Thomas standing in the middle
Yeah.
of the road at night with the trees line and then it
Mhm.
appears. Oh my God. Yeah, and all of the
Yeah.
winter photography is
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. Oh,
Yes. Oh, the
so pretty.
Romanis. The Romanis were
Yes.
great
Oh, that
this
was
time
Yes.
so
round.
And
good.
that,
That was
yeah,
so
and they were
good.
actual, yeah, they were actual Romanian actors and they were
Yeah.
speaking
Yeah,
Romanian.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I, first time watching it, I got so excited when I picked up on the use of the word strigoi, which is
Oh,
like a
Yeah.
okay.
Romanian word for, like, in terms of their folklore, that would be the word used for a quote unquote vampire. They wouldn't refer
Yeah.
to them as vampires. Their version would be a strigoi. And so the first time I heard that, I'm like, oh, I know that
Hmm.
word.
That's dope. That's dope. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they were great. They were great. And they just,
Mm.
yeah, the one guy, the leader, just starts
Yeah.
laughing.
Yeah.
And then the whole
Yeah.
village is laughing at
Yeah. Yeah.
um
I
Poor
did like the
Thomas.
little bit as he comes out of the inn the next morning and just
Yeah, he's
goes,
like, my
"My
horse.
horse."
He has to go on foot.
yeah, yeah.
It was just such a
They
nice
stole
touch.
his
And
horse. Yeah.
I do wonder if that was a Nicholas Hoult thing or whether it was scripted.
Oh, yeah. I
Mm,
wonder.
mhm, mhm.
It's so funny to me seeing so much stuff with him in it because I just will always know him as Tony from Skins. I know that he was in About a
Ah,
Yes,
Boy
thank
as a
you.
really tiny.
Thank you,
Um
Dorian.
I
Fuck yes.
yeah, that was on TV and I watched it literally only because Nicholas Hoult in Skins was really cute and I'm like, "Oh, this is like baby Nicholas Hoult." I don't remember the movie at all. The only reason
yeah.
why I watched it was because Nicholas Hoult was in it.
Well, for
Yeah,
me, it was
I
Warm
know him as
Bodies.
Tony from Skins.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
Fuck
no,
yeah.
for me, it was I
Oh,
knew
warm
him from Warm
bodies.
Bodies as the
Oh, yeah.
Warm
reverse
Yeah.
Bodies is
zombie.
fantastic.
Yeah.
No,
It's
yeah, no.
yeah.
He's good. He's having, yeah, no, and
Yeah.
he's having, he's come into his own.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You know, he's a
Yeah.
Yeah.
recognized name and face now. It's
Mm.
great.
Yeah.
And it's fucking Tony from Skins. How many
Yeah.
Yeah.
years
Yeah.
ago what was that?
Yeah.
It's fan. And that's London. That's Bristol, London.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, he's coming from.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah, this film rules. Yeah, this film rules. What a way to start the year as well.
Yeah.
Really,
Oh,
well, when you consider this
fantastic.
time last year, we were
Mm.
going to see Night
Mm,
Swim.
mm, fuck
Night
yeah.
swim, but Count Orlok is there.
Yeah.
That'd be good.
Um,
We've
yeah.
got Wolfman coming.
Yes.
That's
Oh my
Yes.
God, I'm so
that might be the
excited.
next. That might be the next here. I'm not sure. That's my
Yeah, yeah, because that's
estimation
in
of
a
what's
couple.
dropping. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Cool.
that's
I'm correct.
later
Cool.
this month.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Really
Julia
looking forward to
Garner,
that.
Lee Winnell
Mm.
directing. Yeah.
Mm.
Shot
I
in New
did
Zealand.
see
Yeah.
I did see an interesting trailer today for a film called Heart Eyes, which looks interesting
Yeah,
around for
the
Valentine's
trailer for
Day.
that trailer for that just
Yeah.
came out. That was
Valentine horror.
announced. Yeah, that
Mm.
was announced sometime last year, but the trailer just came out.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I haven't checked out the trailer yet, but like it's already on my watch list. So,
Yeah, absolutely. And of
and then
course,
I've seen the trailer for Companion with Jack Quaid and
oh,
Sophie Thatcher.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that's
Yeah,
interesting, isn't
that
it?
one looks really
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah,
Mr. Barbarian. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Zach
Yeah. Have a
Cregger.
look.
Yeah,
Let's not spoil that. Have a look at the
mm,
trailer for Companion. Yeah. Yeah. Because
yeah,
it's the
Yeah.
reveals like, okay,
yeah,
really? Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And is it Monkey or the Monkey, Osgood Perkins?
The
The
monkey.
monkey.
Yeah.
The Monkey.
Mm,
Yes. That's
yeah.
my next
Yeah.
most anticipated.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Looking
Because
forward to
that's
that one.
short
Yeah.
story rules and Osgood
Mm,
rules. So I think we're just building after off
mm,
2024. Yeah.
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean,
Which is fantastic.
we've also got Del Toro's Frankenstein is apparently
Yeah.
Hmm.
coming out this year.
Okay.
So
Okay.
we're eating good this year.
Yeah.
Already.
Ah.
Yeah. Yeah. Is Terrifier 4 this year or next? Do we know?
Next.
It's next.
Next.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
Just give it that time.
26.
Give it that time.
Mm,
Give it that time.
yeah.
Um, yes, and either of you who are interested, we'll do a what's coming. Yes, because there's
Mm,
lots of posts and
yeah.
information about what's coming. Yeah, cool, cool. Baron, where do you think we're at in terms of the episode? Shall we rate it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
this would be a
Yeah.
good spot. We've been recording just over an hour. Yeah, why not?
yeah, yeah, cool. Dorian, you finish off because let's
Yeah.
finish off with grand praise. Yeah,
Okay.
that's cool.
Yeah. I'm rating it 5. When I first saw it, I rated it a 4.5
Okay.
because I felt the runtime of it. But
Ah, yeah,
I think the reason why, like immediately after I saw the movie, I'm there thinking, why do I think that I felt the runtime in the way that I did? And I think it was because I know the story, I know what all the major plot beats are.
yep,
And so it's kind of like, okay, well, we've been in this film for this amount of time and we're at this point in the story. We still
yeah,
have these things to get to. I wonder how long it's going to take to get to, so they're thinking about like where the story is going, you know what the
Absolutely.
end point is.
Absolutely.
But then the
yep,
second time I watched it, I didn't feel the runtime at all.
yep,
And, I think that was because like I knew where it was
Hmm.
going, how long it was going to
yep.
take to get to each point. And so I was able to just like sit back and just enjoy it. And I was like, okay, yes, this movie is perfect for me. It's as though Robert Eggers just like cracked open my brain and was like, what will Dorian really, really like? Okay, that's what I'm going to put in this movie. So
Yeah. So out of curiosity, Dorian, was it about where the plague stuff was happening that it started to drag for you?
No, it was at the around about an hour mark, as in like
Okay.
once everything was wrapped up at Orlok's castle. I'm like,
Yeah.
we've been here for that long, and this is only like the halfway
Yeah,
point.
okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Like,
Okay.
okay, we still have a lot to go, and we've been here for a bit. Also, it didn't help that like it was at like 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon on New Year's Day, and so like less than 12 hours before that, I'd been out partying. So that was probably contributing, to be fair.
Yeah, yeah.
That was
What?
exactly the same as my
Yeah.
first viewing. It was after, 100 hours of work over,
Yeah.
three
Yeah.
Yeah.
days and then coming
Yeah.
straight from work to that.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
actually at a 3.5.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because the jump scares irritated me. I was in
Mm.
an irritable mood. It was not
Yeah.
a great way to watch it first time. But then researching it and watching all of the other
Mm.
iterations before seeing it the second time, and then to
Yeah.
your point with the story points, there it
Mm.
is, there it is. I see
Yeah.
why you're doing that. And I don't think it was mapped out perfectly,
Mm.
but again, going from short to, well, from old to new,
Mm.
very, very good, very good. And that's
Yeah.
why I'm giving it a solid. I'm going to give it a solid. Fuck it, yeah, yeah. After the conversation, and I'm thinking about visuals, and I'm a visual person, and these visuals are just good. God. 4.5.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
Baron.
I would concur with Mr. Popcorn. I give it a 4.5. I felt there was a little bit of a drag in the second act, and then the
Mm.
third act, like obviously recovered and it was great.
Mm.
But yeah, they could have cut a little bit of business out of the second act and it still would have been as good. So I think I looked at my watch at one point. So
Mm.
I watched it
Yeah.
first thing New Year's Day with
Mm.
the Pirate Queen, and then I watched it again in the afternoon with
Yeah,
Mr. Popcorn. I had a better
Yeah.
time the second
twice.
time
It's
round.
okay.
Yeah.
It's a good effort.
Yeah.
That is good effort,
Yeah.
Uh,
definitely.
but
Yeah, get
Yeah.
again,
those
like
Yeah.
numbers up. Yeah,
Yeah. I saw it New Year's Day and then like the next 2 days I could not stop thinking about it. Like
yeah,
I felt like I was like in
yeah.
Ellen's situation. Like as in I'm just like he is in my
Fantastic.
brain. I can't get him out of my head. So I'm like
yeah,
at work on Friday. So it's been 2 days since I've seen the movie. I'm at work and I'm like, you know what? I bought a ticket and I went to the movies straight after work.
nice.
And then I went and saw it again like this Tuesday, just gone. So it's been out in cinemas for a little bit over a week, and I've already
Instead of
seen it
three.
3 times.
Yeah, twice,
So
twice,
between
all
between
at
the
this.
three of us, we
Yeah,
were responsible for like half the box office.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Especially with how expensive movie tickets are.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Though
So
I
we're
went on
putting in the
Tuesday
work,
this
children.
week, and there's half price on Tuesday.
There you go,
Yeah,
Brisbane,
yeah. Cheap
Brisbane
Tuesday.
people. We're doing
Mm,
it
Even
for you,
cheerful.
children. We're doing it for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
One of the things that I will mention that came up in my research when I was doing
Mm,
this was Robert Eggers has an interesting credit for what brought Nosferatu into the modern parlance,
mm,
and that's SpongeBob
yep.
SquarePants.
Yep.
So, for those people that aren't aware, in 1999, they introduced the character of Nosferatu into the show, and the Nosferatu appears in two episodes, 16A and the 36th episode, Graveyard Shift, in 2002. So, basically, it's a just a drawing
Yep.
of Nosferatu that appears under the sea in the Krusty Krab,
Yep.
and I find it interesting. That's what brought it into sort of the modern parlance. That's what gave us like Shadow of the Vampire.
Mm,
Fantastic.
yeah. Another thing that he said when people have asked him in terms of like influences for making Nosferatu, one of them was Mel Brooks' Dracula Dead and Loving It.
Oh, it's so good. It's
Okay.
such a good
because
vampire movie.
because that movie kind of pokes fun at all the ridiculousness and the
Yeah,
tropes. And
yeah,
so he was kind of like, okay, yeah, you're right. All that stuff is ridiculous. So how can I like navigate around that?
Hmm.
yeah,
You know, as in
Yeah,
like he
okay.
mightn't necessarily have thought of that if it weren't for a movie actually pointing it out. Because
Yeah,
that was
sure,
another
sure,
thing
sure.
with him doing this research to come up with Orlok in this, because he wanted to go back to that folklore, he had to do a lot of unlearning in terms of like everything that you think of when you think of a vampire. It's
Hmm.
because of this media depiction of it and what they become
Hmm.
yeah,
now. And
yeah,
so
yeah,
he had to take a lot of time and just kind of brute force, like, wait, no, that is not part of the folklore. That is something that's come out from the movies. Ignore
yeah,
that, put that aside. That is not part of this. So, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I'm glad.
But
Yeah, sorry,
for
Baron.
those people that are interested, Dracula Dead and Loving It is actually quite a good vampire film.
Mm,
Like it's a spoof, it's a
mm,
satire, it's
yeah.
meant to be a comedy, but Leslie Nielsen actually does a
Mm,
really good job as
yeah.
Dracula.
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it. I'll have to
Mm,
check it out.
yeah.
Yeah. Because Young Frankenstein's great,
Mm,
being
Oh,
an old
yeah.
school
so
Gene Wilder
good.
Yeah.
fan, you know. So yeah,
Yeah.
that piques my interest.
Yeah. I'll have
Yeah.
to add it to my watch list because I've
Yeah. But
I've
that's cool
added
to
some
know.
other stuff. I've added some other stuff to my watch list thanks to like things that's been said have influenced him. So like Possession is one of
Yeah,
them,
thank you.
which
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
obviously like the subway scene in that,
Mhm.
yeah.
that's kind of like, hey, Lily Rose Depp, have a look at this
Yeah.
scene.
Yeah,
Do
absolutely.
something with that.
Who's the
But then
actor in that? Is that Isabella
um
Gianni?
yeah, it is. It is
Yeah,
Yeah, so
Isabella
there you've got the
Gianni.
link
Yeah.
to Herzog there
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
great,
then
great.
two other ones by that same Polish director whose name I cannot pronounce. But yeah, The Devil and The Third Part of the Night.
Okay.
Those ones are
Okay.
also being cited as like
Yes, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
influenced for Robert sort of making. I haven't seen them, but yeah, even when it just comes down to kind of like blocking and composition and
Mm.
all that kind of stuff.
Do you have the years there at all there, Dorian, for the children?
Um, so Third Part of the Night is 1971
Hmm.
and The Devil is 1972,
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
and I don't
Because I'm
know
sure
about
there's
Possession though.
5,000 The Devil movies, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Andrzej
And then yeah.
Zulawski.
Yeah.
What's his last name?
Probably not Zulawski.
Oh, yeah, I don't think of someone else. Yeah. Polish people make good art as well, their
Mm,
children.
Yeah,
yeah.
Yes.
yeah, they
Listen,
really
if you
do.
like the idea of medieval Polish church metal appeals to you, have listened to
Mm.
Patriarch. I know there's the whole Batushka thing. I'm not taking sides. I just want music. Yeah. But that's, yeah, a digression. Back to you, Baron.
Look, I think we're pretty close to being done.
Mm.
Mm.
Other than this, Dorian, what's your favorite vampire film?
Oh, I mean this one now. It's this one. Um, yeah, I don't know. Like there's so many.
Well, while you
Yeah,
think about it,
I don't
Mr.
know.
Popcorn,
Yeah.
what's your favorite vampire film other than this one?
The original Nosferatu, can I say
Okay.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah, of course you can.
legitimately. Yeah, yeah, I'm
Sure.
gonna say that. It's available on YouTube. Very
Yeah.
nice
Yeah, it
copy, very
is.
nice
Yeah.
quality
Yeah,
as
yeah, it is
well.
actually
Check it
really
out.
good.
Yeah. This you have to
I
go
would,
see.
Yeah.
Yes.
yes. I would have to say Near Dark.
That's a good
Oh,
choice. That's
yeah.
a damn
Yeah.
good
Catherine
choice.
Bigelow. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never seen The Hunger with David
Oh,
Oh,
Bowie.
it's good. It's
Mm.
good.
yeah.
That's been on my list for far too
It's
long.
worth watching.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay. Cop Coppola, Coppola, however you want to say his
Mm.
name, the 90s
Mm.
Dracula is
Yeah.
worth
Yeah.
watching,
Yeah.
definitely. If
Yeah.
Yeah.
you've never seen
All
it,
right.
yeah. It's very 90s. It's of its
It's very
time, but
Yes.
yeah,
mainstream.
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
So the question that I would ask then at this point is, did this film need a werewolf?
I wouldn't have been
No.
mad if one had appeared.
It needed a little hyena in it because there's a hyena in the original
Yeah, there is.
Yeah. When
that
I
they
saw
call a
that
wolf.
hyena there, Dorian, I was going, is that the Antichrist? But that's a fox, isn't it? Isn't that a fox? It
Yeah,
was a
it's a fox.
very
Yeah.
similar shot, the head turn of that
Yeah.
creature.
Yeah.
It's very similar. Yeah, yeah.
So
What's
yeah, well
yours,
look,
Baron?
that
What's
brings
yours? Did you say yours?
Near Dark.
Near Dark. Sorry.
Mm.
So good.
After you.
And uh, maybe a little bit of Sundown the Vampire in Retreat.
Mm.
It's a bit more comedy. It's got Bruce Campbell in it.
Yeah.
But I don't think it needed a werewolf. I don't think this film needed a
No.
werewolf.
Yeah, no,
No.
no, no. Wouldn't have been mad if one appeared because it would have
Yeah.
just fit the environment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but it certainly didn't need one, in my opinion.
No.
Yeah.
No.
What if Murnau had done a werewolf film instead of a vampire film?
That would have been fascinating. At that time,
Yeah.
yeah, he probably would have pulled it off.
Yeah.
I mean, Shrek. I mean, he would
Yeah.
have needed a
Yeah.
Shrek though. Because Max Shrek is a big part of
Mm.
that
Yeah.
first
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah. His
100%.
Yeah,
Yeah.
performance. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
Alternate
Interesting
universe.
question though. Yeah,
Mm.
absolutely. More Universal monster stuff though. Yes, it's working.
Yes.
Yes, hopefully
Yeah.
the
Yes.
Wolfman kills it, and then yeah,
Mm.
we'll have decent mummies. That's just me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You didn't
but
like
yeah,
you didn't like the Brendan Fraser mummy films?
nah.
Not for
Sorry,
you.
they're just not for me. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Like they're a loose adaptation,
Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like in name only,
Boris
basically.
Karloff will always be the mummy.
Yes. Yes.
Clive Barker should have been given his version. If you know,
Oh,
you know.
yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Wishful thinking.
Mm.
All right, well, that brings us nicely to the end. Have you got any shout outs, folks?
Evil Corp, Escape Manor, Baron.
Uh, Act React, Improv Queensland, and IFWG Publishing. There's some movement about getting the that book done a little bit early, so it might even be earlier than I expected.
Fantastic. Post it up. And
Dorian, anything?
No, the only thing I'd have to say is Evil Corp as well.
Fair enough.
Please
and
come
see
to Evil Corp.
and see
Yes.
this
We're so
movie as well.
lonely.
See this
Yes,
movie at the
see this
cinema.
movie.
No arguments. No
Let the
arguments.
Actually,
studios
no.
know.
Just yes.
Let studios know that we need more of this kind of content.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think this film is going to lose in translation to the home screen.
Mm,
I think it's going to be much more
Perhaps.
impressive on
mm.
the big screen in a
Yeah.
darkened
Yes.
room, preferably
Yeah.
without teenagers texting in front of you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
don't double
I've heard
screen it.
people saying that like people were like talking through it all and
Yeah.
laughing through it all, and it's just
A little bit. Yeah, a
people
little
have
bit.
forgotten how to like theater etiquette.
Yeah.
I'm going to look at you. I'm looking at you and I'm speaking to you. Whoever you are out there, you know who you are. Do not double screen in this film.
Mm,
Put your phone on Do Not Disturb. Stick it in your pocket. Don't take in crunchy snacks. This film needs your attention and it deserves your attention.
yeah.
Rant
They've put
over.
in
Nicely put.
all that hard work to craft this beautiful atmosphere and mood, the least you can do is actually like
Pay
take
attention.
it in and
Yeah.
pay attention to it.
Yeah.
Couple of hours, $20. It's nothing
Yeah.
compared to what they all went through to bring this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Remember that. Yeah.
So, shall we do our little sign off then, Mr. Popcorn, if you'd like to go first?
Yes, gute Nacht, children, and yeah, Baron.
Oh, Dorian next. I'll go last.
Sorry,
Oh.
of course.
I don't have a sign off.
Well, then that's a sign off.
That's the
There
sign
you
off.
go.
Go to bed, children. Go to bed.
Or Nosferatu. Yes.
Well, come and
The
eat what you
concept
make.
itself. The concept itself. Yes.
That
Will
doesn't sound
come.
like a bad thing to me. That sounds
What, even
like
the disease
Yes.
bearing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
yeah. Hey,
Look,
I'm
Dorian's
not
all
alone.
in.
I'm not
Dorian's all
alone.
in.
Chelsea,
No.
Chelsea from Dead
Yeah, I know.
Meat, she's
Yeah,
got
I
the same
heard.
opinion as me.
I was on the train. I was like, I bet Dorian finds him really sexy.
I was fighting for my life the first time I'm watching it because I'm like, I know what I'm like. I'm not going to do it this time. So the entire time I'm like, no, no, no. And then there's like the scene where like he comes to her, and like basically is like, tells her that, you got those 3 nights and all that kind of stuff, where he says, I am appetite and all that.
Mhm.
That scene, that's my favorite scene in the movie. But I'm just like,
Nice.
yeah, I'm done for. Like, right, that's it. Bye.
Thomas Who.
Yes. Good night.
Oh, I love it when you're evil. This is me at my most evil. Very